She was never weak. She was just never allowed to fly. Meera was not born silent. As a child, she laughed loudly, asked bold questions, and dreamed fearlessly. She wanted to become a civil engineer and build bridges, not just of concrete, but of change. Her teachers admired her intelligence. Her notebooks were always filled with neat diagrams, ambitious plans, and words like independent and leader. But somewhere between society's expectations and family traditions, her wings were slowly folded. After graduation, before she could even apply for her master's degree, marriage was arranged. Your husband's family is respectable. They are well settled. You can study later. The promises sounded comforting. The reality was not. A house full of people, yet no one for her. Her new home was large, polished floors, heavy curtains, expensive furniture, but it felt smaller than her childhood bedroom. In the beginning, she tried to adjust. She woke up at 5 a.m., learned everyone's preferences, memorized everyone's tea ratios, spice levels, and moods. She smiled when she was corrected. She apologized even when she wasn't wrong. When she mentioned applying for a job, her mother-in-law laughed softly. "Why do you need to work? My son earns enough." Her husband didn't object. He just stayed silent. And sometimes silence hurts more than insults. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. Her certificates gathered dust in a drawer. The slow disappearance. Meera stopped talking about her dreams. She stopped reading engineering journals. She stopped correcting people when they interrupted her. One day, while cleaning the storeroom, she found her old college file. She opened it carefully, like touching a memory that might break. Inside was her final year project, a design for a rural bridge that could withstand floods. She remembered how passionately she had presented it, how the professors had clapped. She sat on the dusty floor and cried silently, not because she was weak, but because she realized she had disappeared from her own life. The breaking point. The turning point did not come with a dramatic fight. It came with something smaller. One evening during a family gathering, a distant relative asked her, "So what do you do?" Before she could answer, someone else replied casually, "She's just a housewife." Just. The word echoed in her ears. Not because being a homemaker is small, but because the word carried dismissal. It erased her education, her talent, her identity. That night she stood in front of the mirror for a long time. "Who are you?" she whispered to her reflection. And for the first time in years, she answered honestly, "I am more than this." The first step is always the hardest. The next morning she did something she had been afraid to do. She updated her resume. Her hands trembled. Not because she doubted her abilities, but because she feared the reaction. When she told her husband she wanted to work, the house erupted. "Who will manage the house? People will think we can't provide. You are being selfish." Selfish. For wanting to use her education. For wanting to grow. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She simply said, calmly but firmly, "I am not leaving this family. I am just not leaving myself anymore." It was the first time her voice didn't shake. The struggle before the rise. She faced rejection after rejection. Companies questioned her career gap. Interviewers doubted her commitment. But she kept trying. She studied late at night after finishing household work. She enrolled in online certification courses. She practiced interview answers in front of the mirror. There were days she felt exhausted. Days she almost gave up. But every time she thought of quitting, she remembered the girl who once dreamed of building bridges. And she kept going. The call that changed everything. One afternoon, while she was cutting vegetables in the kitchen, her phone rang. "Hello, is this Meera Sharma? We are pleased to inform you." She dropped the knife. She got the job. It wasn't a high-paying position. It wasn't glamorous. But it was hers. Her effort. Her victory. Becoming her own strength. The first few months were difficult. She balanced work and home, faced taunts, endured passive-aggressive comments. But something had changed. She no longer cried in silence. She stood straighter, spoke clearer, walked with purpose. Slowly, even her husband began to see the transformation, not just in her confidence, but in her happiness. And happiness is powerful. It shifts rooms. It challenges norms. It demands respect. The real empowerment. Years later, Meera didn't just work as an engineer. She led projects. She mentored young girls from small towns. She spoke at seminars about career breaks and comebacks. One day, a young woman approached her after a seminar and said, "Ma'am, because of you, I didn't quit." Meera smiled. That was the moment she understood. Empowerment is not about fighting everyone. It is about refusing to abandon yourself. It is about courage. Quiet, persistent, unshakable courage. The moral. A woman is not weak because she adjusts. She is powerful because she can endure. But endurance should never mean erasing yourself. The world may try to define her role. Society may try to limit her voice. But the moment she decides to stand,
truly stand. No force can stop her, because she was never weak. She was just never allowed to fly. And once she spreads her wings, she doesn't ask for permission anymore.